I'm making 8 meals out of 1 chicken. Today is part 2, and you'll see the rest of the meals that I make. Hey everybody, it's Amanda, and I hope you watched part 1 of my video yesterday. Yesterday, I shared with you how I take a chicken, a whole chicken, and I break it down, and I get all the meat off of it, and I make broth, and I make schmaltz. I even made my husband a little lunch meal that wasn't even included in the 8 meals. And then I made 3 meals that feed my family of 4 at the time, because you know, we have adult children in our house, so the number of people in the house are constantly fluctuating, but I'm basing all of these meals on a family of 4. And so I made the first 3 meals that fed the family, and you can see those, like I said, on part 1. So today we are going to cover the other 5 meals, and it was just so much footage I couldn't put it in one video. So today is part 2, and you'll see those additional 5 meals, and I hope you will like all of the meals that I chose and see how we stretch them. By the way, if you're concerned about the amount of protein that you get in a meal, make sure you watch part 1, because I do talk about protein and how it's used and stretched in all of these videos. So anyway, all right, so we're gonna get started today on part 2, and here's the deal. So between the last video in part 1 and the new footage in part 2, there was a few days gap. And in that few days gap, things got a little crazy. I guess it wasn't a few days, might have been a day or so. And things got a little crazy, and I was starving. It was late at night, and I was like, you know, I got that chicken. so I ended up having some of that chicken and making myself a sandwich. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about it here, but that is actually going to count as meal 4, believe it or not. So I basically took this entire bag that was meant for an entire meal for the whole family, and I was like, I'll just have a sandwich. I'll just have another sandwich. And then it was like late at night, I ended up eating the whole bag, which I think points to the fact that it was actually enough to make an entire meal. But this is the thing, that a lot of times if we don't pay attention to how we're consuming the things that we have, we can end up eating what could be used for a whole meal just for like a snack. And a lot of times I think moms go through this where we know we have enough food for something, and we take it out, and then somebody in the family eats it, and we're like, man, that was like for a whole meal. You just ate it for a snack. Well, moms do that sometimes too. But I am counting it as a whole meal because it could have been a whole meal. And also, I think when you take this portion that I ate for sandwiches and the portion that I gave my husband for lunch, that was actually more than enough to make an additional meal. Did I make a meal out of it? No, but it could have been made into a meal. So therefore, I am counting it as a meal's worth of meat between my husband's portion and my portion that I had in the first video. Yeah, I know we're starting off on a slow note, but just go with me. That's my only problematic portion of this entire video. So follow along and you'll see the other meals that I actually make, and you'll see how I could have turned that into a meal, and how you can then, if you were breaking down a chicken, have a portion that you could use for an additional meal. You understand what I'm saying? All right, no more. I'm gonna roll the footage and you can see the real life what happened. So it's like 10 o'clock at night. I've been busy all day today, and I haven't had a chance to eat yet. And I don't want to heat up the pot pie. One of them's just about done, and the other one I'm going to freeze. So I'm thinking that I'm going to take some of the chicken and make myself a chicken sandwich. Basically just like some bread, and put some mayonnaise on it, and put some chicken on it. So since I am recording all the things that I make with 1 chicken, I'm going to show you my chicken sandwich. I still have some leftovers from one of the things that I made. I don't even remember what, but I have a little bag that has a little bit, and I'm going to start with that. And if I add any more, then I'll add more. But I'm just trying to keep track for you guys. And it's been a couple days since I made the chicken, so whatever I don't use, I'm going to throw in the freezer. I'm definitely making chicken fried rice, maybe tomorrow. But that'll be fine with the frozen chicken. I can just take it out, you know, a few hours before, and it'll thaw, and then I can make chicken fried rice. So just keeping you all updated on how long I can make 1 chicken last. Here it is. And there's mayonnaise underneath there. I actually used the mayonnaise that we picked up when we were on our trip to Wisconsin.
So there it is. And I basically just made it like a little, like you would have turkey leftovers, but chicken. And it's really great. And I'm really hungry, so I'm gonna eat it. But it only actually took the little baggie with the leftovers, and I think like one chunk of chicken out of one of the bags. So I don't even think it's gonna make that much of a difference. But I'm just recording it. Well, I ended up finishing a bag. And that is just because I made another sandwich. You see it? It's another turkey sandwich. And this is why a lot of the meals that I'm showing you in order to stretch your chicken actually have other forms of protein in it to make it sufficient. And this does actually, I mean, it has the mayonnaise, which has, well, this one actually has 0 protein. Which is strange because it says it has whole eggs in it. Explain that one to me, Hellmans. I don't know. But anyway, regardless, I didn't anticipate there to be any other protein in it. You know, just in my mind, I wasn't thinking about it. But anyway, so lesson learned. 2 sandwiches or stretch it. I probably could have made that whole bag, you know, a whole thing of tacos. Tacos sound good. But anyway, I'm gonna eat another sandwich. I'm so hungry. This is what happens when you wait all day to eat. It has just been one of those days. I actually did a grocery haul on this day, and I'll link it at the top. And I even mentioned it. Everything went wrong today, and I'm not gonna complain about it. It happens some days, and I'm gonna eat my sandwich and let it be what it is. I'll see y'all tomorrow. So it's been a few days. I've had the chicken frozen, sitting in its bag. And I'm going to make a chicken soup. So it's going to be the next meal in my 1 chicken experiment. So I have a big pot, and I actually have a recipe for my homemade chicken soup that I'll link at the top if you want to check that out. But I'm just going to go ahead and make it really quickly, and I'm just going to use a whole bag. I'm not even trying to play around with using different little pieces of it. Soup is soup. It's very liquid, and so you want bulk in it. So I'm going to go ahead and make this soup, and I'll show you when it's done, and you can see what it looks like and how this one little bag of like 6 ounces of chicken, this is probably an 8-ounce one, can go and make a whole pot of soup. Okay, so this is just about ready. So I just want to show you that I'm also using this broth, and I'll let you know if I use more than a quart jar, but I'm going to use that in here to get the actual soup stuff going. So I'm going to show you. I don't want to burn myself. There's that. I'm going to throw a little bit of flour in there and get me a little roux going, and then I'm going to add that liquid, and then I'm going to add potatoes and the chicken, and we're going to have some soup here in a minute. All right, so the soup, the potatoes are cooked to where they're soft, and I just added my cream of chicken soup, and we decided to do this one with pasta, so I'm gonna throw that in there, and we're gonna let that cook, and then the soup will be ready. Okay, so here is the soup. Wow, it's really looking good. I put pasta in it rather than rice, and it is looking amazing, and I can't wait to have it. Okay, so my soup is done, and this is the next meal, and this, you guys, look at that. This is such a great soup, I'm not kidding you. I cannot wait to have it. So, you can have this with salad, I love it with garlic bread, whatever you want, but it is really delicious, and I'm gonna eat it. By the way, this jar, it's an old jar of sauce, I actually put the leftover chicken fat in, and I heated it up on the stove, and I'm gonna put it in the fridge to let it cool, and we're gonna use this as schmaltz this week. I was just thinking as I was making breakfast this morning that I wasn't showing you that I have been using the chicken fat, and I'll show you what I used it for this morning. I have been using it for eggs. This morning though, I used it for this. Hash brown potatoes. And it's gonna give them a really, really great flavor. So, just wanted to let you know. This is continued use of that one chicken. One chicken. I wish I'd have thought about filming it, but the jar is now empty. But I've been using it on eggs and things. So, a lot of use of one chicken. Okay, I am coming back to you with another recipe for my one chicken, which I had kind of paused it while I wasn't feeling my best so that I could, you know, just focus on simple meals and not try to do anything like this. But today I used another bag, and I forgot to show you the first batch, but I'm going to show you the second batch of chicken fried rice. But I actually do a kale chicken fried rice, so let me show you what I have. So right here I have some kale that you can see is fried in a little oil, and I'm going to throw, or excuse me, some garlic that's fried in a little oil, and I'm going to throw some kale in there. And I need to, it's actually on like a really low temperature, but might need to turn it down a little more. I am going to put a lid on it. So there's oil in the pan, there's the garlic in the pan, and I'm going to just kind of stir it to incorporate it. And I'm going to put the lid on it for just a second to let it kind of fry a little. But then I'm going to steam it. I know it kind of sounds crazy, but this is just how I do it, and it tastes good. Okay, so it's cooked down a little bit, and now I want to add a little bit of water because what I really want to do is steam it. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there, put the lid on, and let that cook for a couple minutes just to kind of steam it. Alright, and I took the lid off, and I'm going to let that water cook out real fast, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt on this just to give it a little flavor. So we're going to fry all that water out. Should only take a second. Alright, so I just went ahead and threw the kale from the pan into the plate, and we're going to let that sit there. I'll throw a little more oil in here, and we're going to work on the fried rice. So a little bit of oil. So you go ahead and pour the oil in and put your cold rice in the pan. It's got to be cold. Great use for leftover rice. Break it up and get it in the oil, and you're going to go ahead and stir it all together. And I put the chicken in immediately, add a little soy sauce, probably a couple tablespoons, and then a dash of onion powder and garlic powder that you stir to incorporate. Once that is stirred, I will go ahead and add an egg that I fry right inside the rice to the side. The pan wasn't really hot, so it didn't fry as quickly, but once it is, you can go ahead and stir it and incorporate it. Add the kale, go ahead and take any big stems out. And again, you're just gonna stir it up and incorporate it, and very quickly you have a really great fried rice dish. And here we go. It's our chicken and kale fried rice. That is our next recipe, and it's super easy and quick, and it uses just a little bit of chicken. You have the eggs, and it's a great lunch meal. All right, so it's been a couple months since I made that chicken, and I've had the bags just sitting in my freezer because I needed the time to not only make the chicken, because I could have made it a million times, but make it and film it for you guys. And it's been a little bit crazy. So this week I was determined I am finishing this video and using that chicken that's been sitting in there for a couple months. So I have the chicken thawed, both bags, and I'm gonna try to finish them up in one day. And I think I can do it. So it's lunchtime, and I am going to make burritos. Definitely I think I put tacos on the list originally, but I have soft tortillas, so it's gonna be more of a burrito situation. So here's how much chicken I have in bag one. Actually, it looks like a lot more on camera, but if you see here we go. We're a little over the 6 ounces, like maybe into 7 ounce territory.
So a little more than the last bag, but not too much. So basically I'm gonna take this and take a little bit of taco seasoning that I have left over, and we're gonna put that into a pan with some water and heat it up and make it like taco-y. And then I have black beans that are also on the stove. I'm gonna show you that in a second. And I have some other ingredients that I think are gonna add additional protein, so it'll make the protein that we have here stretch, and it'll be plenty for a meal for 4 people. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Normally I add the water last. but for the magic of camera, we're just gonna do it first, and I'm gonna put the chicken in the pan, and of course, you know, that's hard to do one-handed, so let me get my fork out here. Okay, there we go. We have our chicken, and I'm gonna spread it out so it's got the little water in it, and I'm gonna put some seasoning on it. And I have my seasoning packets here, and by the way, here's my black beans cooking. And I'm gonna actually add some of the taco seasoning in here too, because that's just an easy way to flavor the beans, and they have a similar flavor. So let's get the packet in here. Got a little bit going on the beans. Alrighty. Sprinkle around the chicken. And I'm gonna stir that up and let that cook down. Don't you love a quick, easy lunch? Like, this is so easy. And that's really the best part of pre-cooking that whole chicken, is that you have so much like already ready, and you can do a lot with it without having to put in a lot of extra effort. So look at that. Super easy. Burritos are gonna be great. And here's my beans. So while these cook, let me show you the other ingredients. All right, so over here I have just some simple burrito ingredients. I have my flour tortilla, which by the way has protein. Sour cream, protein. Cheese, protein. And then I have some salsa and some romaine lettuce that I've already chopped, and it's ready to go. So especially when you have the beans that also have protein, I mean, this is gonna be a really great protein heavy meal without using a lot of chicken. The chicken is really there for texture and for flavor, that additional boost of protein, but it's a great meal that everybody will like and is super easy. So great way to use chicken. Look at it, it's all done. So I'm gonna take this and these beautiful black beans, and we're gonna make ourselves a little wrap. Right, lady? It's gonna be good. With you. That was quick and easy, and I gotta eat. So I'm gonna eat my tortilla there, and there's a lot left. Let me show you what's left in the pan, because I mean, and I scrunched it all together because I am not wasting a bit of that chicken goodness. Look at that, I scrunched it all together, and you saw, I mean, I really just used a scoop, probably that much. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you could probably at least get 8 more, probably 10 total tacos or tortillas out of this. And I got the idea of doing this from watching the folks at Taco Bell, because at Taco Bell they really just do put like a little slim bit of meat on there, and then just a lot of toppings, and I thought that's a really great way to do it. So you could have this, you could do a side of some tortilla chips if you were inclined. I mean, there's a lot of great things that you could have. A side of Spanish rice would be amazing if you had it. But anyway, so this is a really great meal for your family using your chicken. And I got one more for you. We're gonna use 8 bags of chicken to make 8 meals. Can you believe that? Let me show you one more. All right, so it's time to make the chicken garlic alfredo bake. And I have everything sitting out here ready. It's gonna be our dinner, and I'm gonna show you all the ingredients that you need. It's actually really simple, especially, this is the best part of making a chicken in advance, that the chicken's already ready. So putting everything else together is like really quick, and if you need to make something like quick and easy for dinner, this is great to just like throw together, toss in the oven, and boom, it's done. So let me show you, I have some things started. I'll
I'll show you the ingredients and I'll show you how to make it. Okay, so here are my ingredients, and this is the last bit of chicken. And this one, I don't know if you can see it on here, it is actually just a little bit over 6 ounces. So it's just a regular size one. And then I have 6 ounces of cream cheese. You could probably go up to 8 ounces, but I had like 6 ounces left. I used 2 ounces on another recipe, so I'm gonna use that. I have some shredded cheese back here. Ideally, you'd have a mozzarella or Parmesan, but I always have a mix of mozzarella and a cheddar cheese, just because I feel that that works for pretty much everything. And so I always have it in my fridge. This is what I'm using. And I also have some sprinkle Parmesan and Reggiano cheese, or excuse me, it's Romano cheese. So I'm gonna use that as well. Pasta. Minced garlic. Back here I have some butter, and I'm going to use some oat milk just because that's the milk we have on hand. So I have my water over here boiling, or starting to boil. When it comes to a boil, it's got salt in it, by the way, kosher salt's in there, water, and then when that comes to a boil, I'll throw this pasta in. By the way, if you're wondering, this is a pound of pasta. This is that Molisana pasta that I got for 25 cents at Walmart. It's actually very good. So I have 1 bag, and if I feel like making a little more, I'll probably throw in this other half bag that I had open. So as soon as this comes to a boil and I get the pasta in there, I'm gonna start the sauce. And by the way, you're also going to need a casserole dish, which I'm gonna get out right now. My pasta is cooking. It's gonna take about, I don't know, about 10 minutes. We wanna cook it till it's almost done, just about done. And then over here, I've started the sauce. And basically I've just taken 2 tablespoons of butter and probably about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic, and I'm letting that cook down a little bit. And once that gets to where the garlic is browned, I am going to add the cream cheese, and milk. And we're gonna cook that till it's smooth and make a sauce. And hopefully it'll be about the same time that our pasta is done. Over here. And then we'll make our bake. Okay, you can see that I just threw the lump of cream cheese in there, and you can also see that the garlic is brown, and I'm gonna go ahead and just toss in, you want about 2 cups of milk. That way it gives it a nice amount of liquid. I'm also going to throw in some of my shredded cheese to go ahead and melt along with this. And this pasta is just about done, so we want to melt this as quickly as we can. The shredded cheese, you want about 6 ounces, so like 3/4 of a cup. All right. I'm going to throw in some of this Parmesan for good measure. And you know, because I like a little flavor, I might even throw in some Italian seasoning and some salt and pepper to this as well. So let me go grab that. There we go. I just added a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, probably about 1.5 tablespoons of parsley, and about 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. So at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and let this cook down and make itself into a cream sauce. And as soon as it's nice and smooth, I'm going to take the pasta that's just about done. I'm actually getting ready to take it off the burner and just let it sit until this is ready. And I'll mix this together with the pasta and our chicken. So let me go ahead and get this ready, and I'll show you when it's mixed together. Okay, so my sauce is pretty much smooth. It's got a little bit of chunks in it, but that's actually okay, because when I mix it in here and it goes in the oven, it'll just be little pockets of yummy goodness. So it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, just mostly smooth. You know, you don't want huge chunks. So this is about ready. I'm gonna go ahead, the pasta is back here and it's still in the liquid, so I am going to drain that and mix the sauce in with the chicken that is sitting right over here, and we're gonna go ahead and get it in our casserole dish. So we're gonna go ahead and take our pasta once we've drained it and add it back in the pot with our chicken.
And then we're gonna go ahead and add our sauce on top. Now I do wanna mention that I did go ahead and cook the 1.5 pounds of pasta. If I was gonna make this again, I would just do it with a single pound of pasta. It was actually good, but I like it a little bit more saucy, and I think it would have been better that way. So once that's all mixed together, you're gonna take your casserole dish and put the pasta mix in there and spread it out nice and smooth and even. And once that's done, we're gonna add our toppings. And we're gonna start with our shredded cheese, which is gonna go sprinkled across the top. And then once that is done, we're gonna go ahead and sprinkle some Parmesan cheese across the top. And we're gonna get our oven ready at 375. Don't forget to cover it with foil. And we're gonna set it in there for about 15 minutes. Once that 15 minutes is up, you're gonna go ahead and pull it out and take the foil off and bake it for another 10 minutes. You want that top to get nice and golden brown. And here we go, all done. Here is our finished Alfredo bake. Looks and smells amazing. So I would just slice it up kind of like you would a lasagna. Just cut it in little squares and it's done and it's amazing. You can put broccoli in it. I like to serve broccoli on the side personally, and that is what I'm gonna make to go with this. Or you could just have a salad. I mean, you could just totally do an Olive Garden soup salad and breadsticks. Like, it would be an amazing meal, seriously. So that's our 8th meal. Can you believe it? I finished all of the bags of chicken now. So I'm going to eat this and come back a little bit later and do a recap. Okay, so that is it. We have 8 full meals. Well, I didn't quite make one of the meals, but it could have been a meal. So I'm still counting it because it could have been one. But we did today, I showed you the sandwiches, which could have been a meal, especially when coupled, like I said, with my husband's lunch meal that he had that I didn't even count in the total. And then I made chicken soup, which is super great, especially with all that broth that I made. So we're making use of everything. And I talked about using the schmaltz too, which is an additional bonus that you could have used with other things. Then we made the kale fried rice, which, let me tell you something, that is like one of my favorite things in the world to make, and I make it all the time. So kale chicken fried rice, amazing. I hope you'll make that. Then of course we made the burritos and the garlic alfredo chicken. So all great meals, all things that I think most families would enjoy, and a great way to stretch a chicken into multiple meals. You guys, instead of eating the sandwiches myself, I could have certainly made 2 batches of burritos. So that would have worked out really well if I hadn't just grabbed it. So, but I guess, again, that's kind of the point. Like, you could take an entire chicken and make it into one meal for your family, and everybody could just gobble down all the chicken and have a couple side dishes, and then the whole chicken's gone. Or you can break it down and use it thoughtfully and stretch it so that your meat budget is extended and you can focus more on those other portions of your food budget that might be less expensive. Particularly now that we're getting into spring and summer, if you grow yourself a little garden, then all of your vegetables that you're using, like kale, is super easy to grow for kale fried rice. Rice, you know, that's not expensive, especially when you're making a fried rice. That rice is usually leftovers. I mean, a lot of the different things that we put in this video could have been used as from leftovers. Like, for instance, the burritos. I mean, a lot of that stuff, we can make a chicken chili. That would be really great. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could use it if you're thoughtful, rather than just taking a whole chicken and eating it all in one sitting. So I hope this gives you some ideas and you feel encouraged to stretch your meat budget. And I hope that helps you to make the most of the money that you have available for food. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Are there any other meals that you think you could make with a whole chicken? Could you stretch it into 8 meals? If you're new to my channel, I hope that you will subscribe. I have lots of great content on here about frugality and budgeting, particularly grocery budgeting, and I hope that you will like this video. And that way I know that it's the kind of content that you want me to keep putting out there, and I'll keep putting the work into making sure that it's something that you can use and appreciate. So, all right, well, that's it. You all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.